Alright, you guys, back with another video. We back with another day 4 of Diddy's trial. Now, the most bizarre moments from Diddy's trial is when Cassie testified Diddy raped her and threatened to release sex tapes during her first day of testimony Tuesday at Combs' sex trafficking trial. Cassie described being pressured into degrading sexual encounter with paid sex workers. Sean Diddy Combs jurors can't hide their reaction to graphic photos now. These photos of these freak-off parties shows graphic. Unbelievable. That it will blow your minds that this case, a lot of critics, including myself, and I'm just going to be real with you guys. From the photos, from the graphic, a lot of people think this case is over. Now, Cassie testified that Sean Diddy Combs raped her and threatened to release sex videos. So it says, New York Times, the R&B singer Cassie testified Wednesday that Sean Diddy Combs raped her when she ended their decade-long relationship after she locked her life of physical abuse by threatening to release degrading sexual videos of her. Addressing the Manhattan courtroom for a second day Combs federal sex trafficking trial, Cassie Combs forced his way into her Los Angeles apartment and raped her on the living room floor after she said she was breaking up with him. It says Cassie also says she didn't feel she could refuse Combs' demands for her to have hundreds of encounters with male sex workers, which he watched and controlled for hours, even days, because he will make her look like a slut if he made the video public. I fear for my career. I fear for my families. It's just embarrassing. It's horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone, says Cassie, whose legal name is Casra Ventura. Now, you can tell the two had a rocky relationship, man. This is not love. This is lust. Yeah, man. This trial is going to be very, very tense, y'all. So it says, now prosecutor shows the jury 5 still image from the sex videos on Wednesday. Cassie says the image of her various stage of encounter Combs called freak-offs. Now, one jury eyes widened, another shook his head from side to side. So it says she is suing Combs in 2023, accusing him of years of physical sexual abuse. Within hours, the suit was settled for $20 million, a figure Cassie disclosed for the first time Wednesday, but doesn't a similar legal claim fallen from other women. Prosecutor accused Combs of his sexual relations status as power music executive to violent force Cash and other women to take part in his sexual intercourse. He is charged with crimes including racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud, coercion. Several others accusers are set to testify. Now, this case it's just a tipping of the iceberg. Now, yeah, Cassie is the tip of the iceberg. Now, I told you guys how Cassie was going to open up the Pandora, box, and she really opened up a lot of things. You know, you can see that there was a lot of coercion, and that you know she was forced with many sex workers, forced into oral sex. All this Najee, tried, you know, and Combe is, denying all of these allegations. So his attorney acknowledged he could be violent, but said the sex he and others engaged was consensual, and that nothing he did amounted to a criminal enterprise. So it says Combe lawyers was expected to begin cross-examining Cassie on Thursday, when they will get the chance to challenge her credibility or poke holes in her account what happens. Now, Combe, 55, had been in jail since September. He faced at least 15 years in prison if convicted. The trial is expected to last about 2 months. So it says Cassie exposed the dark sides of the celebrity relationships. Now, this is Cassie exposing the whole dark side of their relationship. So Cassie's testimony is exposing the dark underside of the relationship that for years played out publicly in pictures of couples smiling on red carpets, the celebrity events. She said she met Combs in 2025. Well, 2005, excuse me, I take that back. We in 2025. Take that back. Well, she met Combs in 2005 when she was 19 and he was 37 years old. That's an 18 gap. Combs signed her to a 10-year contract with his Bad Boy record label within a few years. They started dating, Cassie says. They was photographed in 2016, attended the premiere of the film of the project Match only 2 days after Combs beat and kicked Cassie at a Los Angeles hotel and tapped capture on security camera footage. After the footage was leaked last year, Combs apologized. Jurors were shown that footage as well as photos of the couple at the premiere. Excuse me. Now, Cassie, 38, she claimed that Combs had raped her and poisoned her. In a motion first day of testimony, she used makeup to cover bruise and worn, sunglasses to hide a black eye from the premiere. She said she sneaked into a popcorn closet at the movie theater to strip her dress for an after party so bruises on her legs wouldn't be visible. On another occasion in 2013, while she was packing to go to Drake Music Festival in Canada, Cassie and Combs scuffled with her friends and threw her into the bed. Fame. She sustained a pretty significant gap above her left eye. Combs security personnel brought her to a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills to get the wound stitched up, she says. Afterwards, she says she texted Combs at a photo of her injury face and wrote, "So you can remember, Combs, we lie. You don't know when to stop. You push it too far. Continue to push. Sad. The Associated Press does not typically name people who says they have been sexually abused unless they come forward publicly as Cass has." Now, Cassie, is spilling all the beans in this case, in this day 4. And there's a lot of people on this YouTube, including myself, what I mean? I feel that at some point that this is not just a domestic violence case. I think this is a really serious case that the jury is looking into. They seen horrible graphic photos of these freak offs. And, you know, this means the public and press currently have no way of independently viewing this evidence. Now, we see ABC, NBC, the Wall Street journalist is asking for these, gruesome photos. And these photos is going to tell a whole tale. So, and a news organization asks for access to freak offs, videos, in Diddy's federal trial. Multiple news organizations are asking for access to freak off videos that are central to the federal trial involving Sean Diddy Combs, according to a variety major outlets, including ABC News, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press, and Media and Business Insiders have filed a joint court motion asking the judge to allow the journalists and the public to review the sexual videos evidence being shown to the jury. Now, the footage reportedly showing graphic and possibly non-consensual sex activities is considered by the government to be central to the case. Now, it says, however, the trial is not being televised and all the electronics are barred from the courtroom. So it says here, that means the public and press currently have no way of independently viewing the evidence. Media pushes for transparency, why news organizations want to see the video. The legal filing makes it clear the press is not asking for copies of the freak-off videos, only the ability to view them in court as the jury does. So it says the argument is rooted in the First Amendment rights of the public access to criminal trials. In a statement on behalf of the media outlet, attorneys Robert explained new organization appreciate that some trial exhibit may be sexually explicit and sensitive for alleged victims, but the public and the press should be permitted to view and consider this evidence consistent with the First Amendment. So it says, consistent with the First Commandment, there. It says, the only way to determine whether the explicit sex acts and videos are consensual or coercive is actually seeing them. Victims push back. Cassidy Lawyer says, release will violate privacies on the sides of attorneys for alleged victims. Cassidy has pushed back hard. Douglas H. represent Cassidy filed a motion asking the court to delay the media request, citing privacy violation and potential trauma to victims. Prosecutors and Diddy defense teams are also on this point. Both parties support sealing the videos. Nothing they include nudity and identifiable content involving alleged victims. The argument is centered around balancing press freedom with victims' protection, something court has struggled with for decades, especially in cases involving celebrities, sex, and alleged abuse. So now, these videos are so gruesome and these freak offs, and this is just the tip of the iceberg now. Now, this case A lot of people, a lot of YouTubers think, this case is over. And I believe to some extent that, yeah, this case is pretty much over because the juries are looking into these graphic photos of these freak off. There's a lot of things going on. That's why I think that this case, they said the case is going to last for 2 months. And this is just the tipping of the iceberg. You know what I mean? Cassie gave out her statement. You know what I mean? She was raped, she was drugged, she was coerced. And Diddy is not getting out this one. It's sad, y'all. But the attorney is giving Diddy, action on appeal. Because they want this to be a fair trial. It's a lot, and I'm afraid if Diddy's gonna testify, if he's gonna take the stand, which I don't think so, because there's so much at stake. And I think it's gonna come to a point that Diddy's gonna have to give up some names. And that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be so interesting to see who's at this trial, who's willing to testify. You know what I mean? What do these people know? You know what I mean? How many people's life is at stake? You got to think, people, brand, careers, reputation, all that's at stake. At some point, I think they're going to probably end up bringing in names. Like Tony Buzzy said, there are a whole bunch of celebrity names that was at this wild freak off parties. People like LeBron's name was mentioned. LeBron said ain't no party like a Diddy's party. And, people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, Gloria. There's a lot of people that was around at these freak off. And I remember LeBron James was holding a beer kit, a towel, some brown shower shoes, and walking to the hallway. And he told, hey, y'all better do something about this. There's a lot in this case. And this is, like I said, this is just the beginning of a, this the beginning of the iceberg. Man, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. When it gets to closing arguments, they're gonna dragging Diddy's mom into this. And it's so sad that the defense is gonna find some kind of strategy in this case that they're gonna drag Diddy's mom into it. And the reason why I say this, because Diddy had a wild childhood life. Mama was, into the freak offs. She threw the freak off parties. Through his childhood. He lost his dad. It's going to say a lot in this court. Because you got to look, Diddy, Diddy never had no priors. He never been to jail. Although he's fighting different cases and things like that. So they're going to check into Diddy's mom. It's going to show you a lot, of how, his childhood was, how this played the whole pack of his lifestyle, because mama, through these wild parties, prosecution and, male sex workers, lesbian, gays. But I want to tell you guys, I think, the whole thing of this, you guys, I think is a man by the name of Clyde Davis. He's involved of the industry. Clyde Davis, the man, if you guys know him well, Clyde Davis got Prince killed. He has something to do with Whitney Houston. So yeah, you guys, as you guys come in, hit that like button, man, because it's gonna bring this video into the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, I think the truth of the matter, I think Clyde Davis, I think he's involved in a lot of things in this industry. You know what I mean? Because to me, why is it Diddy? Why is it he's the only one locked up? Why is that? Why is nobody saying nothing? It's like a lot of things is quiet right now. You know, Cassie's telling everything so far in this case. So you have to, like I said, you guys, there's a lot of things that's going to be interesting in this case. You know what I mean, for both parties. And I think it's going to be so humiliating if the defense tries strategy to use Diddy's mom. You know what I mean? Because the reason I say this, because that's going to determine, you know what I mean, how Diddy had, you know what I mean, a tough childhood. I can bet you. I can bet you that this will be the closing argument for the defense team. I just want you guys to see this play here. See how everything will build up in this case. You know, it's gonna be dragged up for another 2 months. In other words. So yeah, this is a trial case, you guys. That's gonna be very interesting. You know what I mean? Prosecution got Cassie's statement that Diddy was running an enterprise for 20 years. You know, Diddy was a businessman. I remember Fat Joe said he was one of the best entrepreneurs of what he do. You know, powerful magician. You know, you can imagine how he did a lot of business from his home. You know, man, you know, the truth of the matter is, it's sad to see one man's locked up though. You know, and about the whole secret society, y'all, there's so much at stake, and this is why we got to see how everything's gonna play out here. There ain't nobody locked up, and whether Diddy, you know what I mean, drop names, whether he snitched, that's still to come. You know, that's still to come. But yeah, pretty much, Cassidy really opened up that Pandora. You know, there was a lot of things that the prosecution was just looking in this case, man. And I said that, man, Diddy said it. I believe he settled Cassidy out. Was it 20 million? He should have settled out for like 30 million. I would have gave her 40, 50 million. You know what I mean? And that's, you know what I mean? That's with the, you know what I mean, video that TMZ hosts, and that's with the video that the juries have. And Cassie tried, you know what I mean? She tried to, you know what I mean, said that these videos of these freak offs was consensual. She tried it, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, she tried. That's all I can say. She had tried it. You know. But, you know, there's a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things in this case, man. I think Cassie now, she's at a point that, you know, she gotta free herself. You know what I mean? Because, you know, the relationship wasn't a relationship, you guys. I want to say that it was a lust. You know what I mean? They was both young. I guess when Diddy had Cassidy, he was 37 years old, 18 years apart. You know, he had Cassidy when she was young, man. You know what I mean? And that's not, you know what I mean? That's not the real essence of true love. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's this case, man. This case is very, very sad right now. It's really bizarre. You know what I mean? With the juries looking at these graphic photos, and you know what I mean. Right now, man, it's hard. You know what I mean, to look into this case right now. So let's roll this footage right quick. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Is going to resonate potentially with some of the viewers and some of the jurors. The other key piece of evidence, bad evidence, that the prosecution elicited today was Cassie Ventura's own violent outbursts, both respect to Combs himself, but some violent episodes involving others as well, including a young woman that she physically attacked. I think the defense will argue that Cassie Ventura was jealous, admitted to being insanely jealous, and that she was violent. There's going to be an argument both during the cross-examination, which begins tomorrow, but as well as closing arguments, that really Cassie was the instigator when it came to many of these violent episodes. Not saying I believe it, but I fully expect the defense to go in that direction starting tomorrow.
Yeah, you can imagine. I mean, she's 8 months pregnant. The stress this is taking on her, the toll that it is taking while pregnant, while having to testify in this extremely graphic sense. You know, I want to play out some of this sound that we got today. Leaving court was her attorney, Douglas Wigner. He's pretty high profile as far as victims' rights go. So let's just play that. I want to get you to respond to it on the back end. Let's listen to this.
Thank you. Sir, how do you think she did? Powerful testimony today. What was the most powerful part of it? Just the whole thing was powerful. And she told her truth. I wouldn't want to be having to do that cross-examination. That's for sure. Are you worried about how she's holding up being pregnant and having to deal with all that stress? It's always a concern. Obviously, given that she's about to give birth, but in the coming weeks. But I'm not going to give a date, but as you can see in court, she's very pregnant. She's about to give birth, but she's holding up strong. I mean, having to recount what happened during those 10 years and beyond, and talking about her contemplation of suicide, really just very powerful. What do you think really is the part that got to her? It seemed like she really talked about their love. She really started to break down about how he just wasn't giving her what she needed, and she really felt that they were in love. I think really just she was not.
See, the thing of it is, Diddy wasn't giving her the affection that she was looking for. See, women need the infection. They need, you know what I mean? Like the woman needs to be more important. See, the two didn't know what love is. Because when Diddy had Cassidy, she was 18. He was 37 years old. You know, and now she's pregnant. Now she's moving on with her life. You know, Cassie did all she can, you know what I mean, to cover this up, but it's so hard. You know what I mean? Because when the juries look to see a woman beaten in the hallway, the jury's going to they already see this case. They already see this coercion. They already see the mail workers. They already see the state see that Diddy was running an enterprise for 20 years. What Cassie just did, she opened up the Pandora box. I mean, I feel sorry for Diddy. I feel sorry that he had to beat her the way he did. You know what I mean? I just feel sorry that, you know, at the end of the day, Diddy was crying for help. He needed help. And I think that when you got people that's in the industry, people that's higher power like Clyde Davis, I think Clyde Davis is a manipulator in the industry. I think that he influenced Diddy. I think this is the reason why Diddy had the keys. You know what I mean? In LA, he had the keys to Miami. He had the keys to New York. This is the reason why, man. I believe, you know what I mean? Clyde Davis had something to do with all of these celebrities. Prince, you know what I mean? Michael, you know what I mean? Whitney Houston. I think he's a manipulator. I think he's one of those guys, you know what I mean? He's a powerful influencer. You know, and when they was doing these freak off, these sexual acts, see, you can't do it. You see, you have to be able to do a ritual. You know what I mean? And these was just all rituals, lust. You know what I mean? And I just think at the end of the day, y'all, I just think how secret this society is. I just think that all these celebrities, they don't want to get exposed. Because there's if we look at it, this case is going to last 2 months. There's a lot of things that they're going to check into. Who is involved in the freak off parties? And one man women can't be locked up. There's a lot of people that involved in these freak off parties. So when they get, you know what I mean, when they get to the cross examining and they get in the middle of this trial, I guess we're gonna see some names that's just gonna blow our mind back. Let's roll this. Let's roll this footage.
From the drugs she was taking and everything that she had gone through, she realized that she had to tell the truth, and she told the truth.
All right, just showcasing some of the remarks there from legal analyst as well as Cassie's attorney, but we are back out with you. I do want to continue to bring you some more updates regarding the cross-examination of Cassie. Right now, we are learning more about the freak-offs, the sexual events Combs staged, dominated much of the testimony on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now the defense team is asking about the subject displaying text messages to the jury in an apparent effort to show Cassie's enthusiasm for them. The defense lawyer is reading Combs' parts of email and text exchanges and having Cassie recite what she wrote to him at the time. When do you want to freak off? LOL, Combs asked back in August of 2009. I'm always ready to freak off, she replied. 2 days later, Cassie sent an explicit message to Combs. I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot, he replied. Me too. I just want it to be uncontrollable, she said. All right, so that is another major takeaway that is coming from these text messages that show a very, very different side than what the prosecution was alleging. We're also continuing to talk about the defense questioning right now Ventura about an explicit message he sent to Combs confirming it was sent 2 days after they planned a freak-off. Ventura acknowledges both points here. About 10 minutes ago, Cassie Ventura asked for a break after the defense attorney began presenting sexually explicit emails between her and Sean Combs. That break did last for 10 minutes, but again, we are updating you here in real time on the different points that are coming across here in this cross-examination, as we are still in the early stages of the cross-examination, but just want to again reiterate just some of the updates that were coming out earlier today, as the defense started off gentle. The defense begun questioning Cassie in a gentle tone of voice, the court reporter said. It's notable because so many cross-examinations can begin with efforts to unsettle an agitated witness. The defense's approach is the opposite. Earlier, the defense introduced their love text. The prosecutors objected. The first exhibits included by the defense team are messages exchanged between Combs and Cassie in the early years of the relationship. In one, Combs writes, "I'm truly a lucky man." Cassie writes back, "I'm a very lucky woman. I love you so much." Prosecutors are objecting frequently to exhibits introduced by the defense. The judge is rejecting many of the objections, appearing to be giving the defense some breathing room in the early stages of its examination. The defense is confronting Cassie with loving emails and text messages that she and the hip-hop mogul exchanged early on. In one 2008 email, Cassie told Combs that she was a lucky woman. "I love you so much," she wrote, after Combs thanked her for flying to Atlanta to be with him. In August of 2009, in a message sent when Combs went by the moniker Puffy, the rap star told her, "I love you so much, it makes me cry." Cassie replied, "You hungry, Pop Pop?" She testified that Pop Pop was a nickname that she used for Combs while he sometimes called her baby girl. He said no, to which Cassie told him to let her know if he changed his mind. In April of 2010, Cassie told Combs, "Going to sleep now."
Now, I want to say the only way that the state can determine whether the explicit sex acts in the videos are consensual, but they are graphic, because one juror was looking and it just blew their mind back. So how can they go around and saying whether it was consensual or was cohort? Really, it's going to be a very challenge for Diddy's team to put together some leverage to see if the raw freak offs was consensual. So it says here, Cassidy lawyers release will violate privacy on the side of attorneys for alleged victims. Cassidy has pushed back hard. Now remember that there was a lot of these tapes, was being pushed out. I guess before the Homeland Security raid the house, there was a lot of these freak off tapes was going around. I could be wrong, but I don't know. But from my understanding of it, there was a lot of these tapes were sold. So pretty much, this is the reason why New York Times, NBC, the Wall Street Journal, they want to see these videos. It's like y'all remember R. Kelly. When he had sex with that underage girl, that tape was flowing around. Everybody said that they seen that tape. And the crazy, here's the crazy thing of it is, he got found acquainted. When that tape was surfing around, right? And they said that was R. Kelly. R. Kelly still found a way to beat that case. Now, in this case, man, this case is just so interesting. It might not mind you so much of R. Kelly's, but the state already have a clue, that, yeah, Diddy probably was running a, enterprise for 20 years. They know that, that Cassidy could have been, forced and coerced into these sexual activities. That's why the video is so explicit, like, and that's why, they couldn't, they couldn't get it out into the public. They couldn't even see how serious this trial case was. They couldn't even televise it. They wouldn't televise it. Because how explicit, and it says the videos, they show nudity, and it says identifiable content involving alleged victims. It says. So to me, it's a lot in this case. That I remember that they had over 190 witnesses and these freak offs. And it won't. This to me, y'all. This don't get a fair trial. That there's a lot of celebrities involved in these freak offs. If this don't get into being a fair trial, and they don't, if the juries don't look into these videos, I'm quite sure they're looking into it. But we need to know who was at these freak off parties and who was involved. There was, there was so many people at these wild freak offs. There was people already, seeing Diddy. There was in the room in that king size bed that I don't know, it can hold a lot of people. A 50-inch king size bed. You know how many people was in that bed in this room? They need to show who was there. Because at the end of the day, why is Diddy's the only one being locked up? Because if you got all these people at this wild freak off parties, a lot of attendants, a lot of people that was watching, a lot of people that was participating, yeah, they are just guilty. They are just as guilty. Because it's not right to have one man locked up and not everybody being questioned. They said that this trial was going to take up to 2 months. Now they need to really, really look at the tapes, because the tapes don't lie, y'all. See, I've been to Hollywood. I know what I mean. I've been to Hollywood. I know how these wild freak off parties is. But now nobody's saying nothing because so many stuff is at stake. You got so many people careers at stake. So many people brand. You know what I mean? Reputation. All that's at stake. Yeah, I'm saying Diddy was running the whole show, but look, someone had to bribe Diddy into it. And that's why I bring up Clyde Davis. This is why I bring this man up, because Clyde Davis, he do a lot of things that people don't even see. Clyde Davis has, I'm going to say it again, Clyde Davis has something to do with Prince's death. He has something to do with Wendy. And now, you know, Clyde Davis is he's a monster guy in Hollywood. Clyde Davis, if you don't know him, he set brothers up and get them killed. That's how the industry do, man. And Clyde Davis probably, you know what I mean, was I guess, let me say it like this. Diddy was Clyde Davis' right hand man. Right? And so it got to that point that Diddy, you know what I mean, it came that he had to do what he had to do in this empire, man. He had to run these errors. He has to be the host. And that's what they made Diddy as, a host. I think Diddy was bribed into this, because you didn't see this kind of behavior of Diddy. You didn't see Diddy drinking Ciroc, and we knew Diddy was drinking the champagne, but now he's on that Ciroc. He got everybody on that Ciroc, and you know, the Diddy I know, y'all. The Diddy I know was, you know what I mean, was quiet, was smart in his, you know what I mean, in his business as being an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, someone alleged Diddy into this heinous act, man. And I ain't gonna put nothing behind it, man. And I'm gonna blame this man, Clyde Davis, man. I'm gonna blame him, man. He's in control of the industry. And that has to be Diddy's right hand man. Because to me, why is nobody else being questioned? And you remember they had Jennifer to testify, but there's no one else. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still early in the trial, but I'm shocked at what Cassie did. You know what I mean? I'm shocked because, you know, you guys all heard that Cassie said, I got the videos and the video was consensual. But man, Cassie just flipped the whole story up. You know what I mean? She flipped her whole story up, man. You know? Let's roll this video.
So it can be tomorrow faster. It can be home. Love you. Home replied, love my baby. Also, Combs appears relaxed during this cross-examination as he's getting underway. He's sitting back in his chair with his legs crossed, speaking to his lead counsel as well. The defense has Cassie reading out loud from the warm emails and messages that she exchanged with the hip-hop star early on, portraying them to the jurors as a loving, caring couple, and a counterpoint to 2 days of testimony about forced sex and violence. Combs was charismatic with a larger-than-life personality, she testified. I'd fallen in love with him and cared about him very much, she acknowledged. Cassie reads a 2010 email, I don't need your money. But another message Cassie read points to fractures in their relationship, which according to her earlier testimony devolved into violence and Combs' increasing obsession with seeing her have sex with strangers during drug-fueled sex parties she called freak-offs. In an April 2010 email, she expressed disappointment that Combs would rush her off the phone and wasn't spending time with her. Cassie read the email in court. That's not being in a relationship with someone that you love.
Look, you guys, you know how I feel about this whole thing? I think Diddy was set up. I think they bribed Diddy into doing these hateful acts, y'all, to run this enterprise to keep the Hollywood rituals. Because how is it that when you get in the industry, you have to do these rituals? You got to do a sacrifice, and you can't get higher up without doing these rituals. And I think that they know that you know what I mean. And I think Diddy knew, you know what I mean, that it was going to come from him. Sooner or later, it was going to just come from him. You know, because they come at you when you get up into being 100, when you get into 100 million, and you know what I mean. When you get up, you know what I mean. That's where they come from. That's where they come from. You know what I mean. That's where they come after you. You know what I mean? And it was coming. I mean, it was coming. It was just coming, man. It was this thing was coming. This is why they was coming from. You know what I mean? They was coming after Diddy because it was sooner or later that, you know what I mean, Diddy wasn't going to be able to hold the keys too long, man. Diddy knew that they was going to come. Sooner or later, they was going to come after him. You know what I mean? They was going to come for him. So, man, it's sad, man, to see someone that have power, someone like Clyde Davis to have power to influence these celebrities, man. And Diddy was influenced. You know what I mean? Diddy, if you really know as Diddy being a magician, Bad Boys, his Bad Boy albums, making music, and I don't even look at. I see from Diddy, from his Bad Boy years and things like that, and with him being with Notorious B.I.G. and you know what I mean. I would never thought that 30 years so that Diddy would be the man that everybody claiming him to be, a monster. You know what I mean? I never knew, y'all. I just never knew that there's after 30 years. You mean to tell me that nah? It's someone really got Diddy into this kind of behavior, man. I really this is just coming from me. You know what I mean? I have my own opinion to it. I just think he was bribed. You know what I mean? I think he was bribed because why is it in the industry? Why is it black people get slammed? And why is it that when you become over 100, you know what I mean, 100, when you get into 100 millions, they gotta, you know what I mean, you gotta, it's like you gotta do all this things over again. You know what I mean? You gotta do the ritual all over again. But this time, it's like you gotta be very cautious because now your life, this can like make your life be dependent on you. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. You know what I mean? And I guess Diddy at some point he knew his empire was going to come to a point. See, nothing good at the end of the day. I always say nothing good comes from the industry. Nothing good comes from it. Nothing good. Because they get us, man. It's either two things we do. We know how to use these guns to kill our brothers and them, to do these blood sacrifice, like Nelly. And then you got a lot of these people that's coming out the closet. Just coming out the closet. I want y'all to just look at the whole picture, man. Because you don't have to worry about people like Miley Cyrus. You don't have to worry about people like Justin Bieber. You don't have to worry about those kind of people. But it's always black entertainers. It's always the black, you know what I mean, celebrities, man. Target. Look what they did to Possum, you know what I mean, Smurf. Look what happened to Biggie, Tupac, Nips. Look what happened to PMP. Look what happened with, you know what I mean, Bobby Smurder, man. You know what I mean? Went to prison, got out, and he's not all the way there, man. Just look what's going on with Nelly, man. Just look, man. It's like they slamming black celebrities, man. It's like they finna hit this reset button and start all over again and make this thing be a slavery thing for black people, man. Diddy was a billionaire in his empire, man. Just look, man. Just look what you have to go through, man. You know what I mean? His family is in a courtroom, man. Just look. I want y'all to see this, man. How this thing gonna turn out, man. Because his defense team, they're gonna have to find some kind of leverage in this case, man. And I'm telling y'all, man. I tell y'all, man. I'm gonna say it again, man. How they gonna bring his mom up, man? His mom. They're gonna bring his mom up for the failure of his wild, you know what I mean, life of his. They're gonna bring the mom up of, you know what I mean, of him having a wild childhood. Watch. Watch when y'all see how this thing play out, man. They're gonna bring up his mama as she was responsible for Diddy childhood life. Let's roll this clip.
Are in love with. I am really hurt by the way you deal with me. I don't need your money. I need some attention. Attentioning turned to the freak-off. The sexual events home stage dominated much of the testimony from Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Now the defense is asking about the subject and displaying text messages to the jury in an apparent effort to show Cassie's enthusiasm for them. The defense lawyer is reading Combs' part of the email and text exchanges and having Cassie recite what she wrote to him at the time. When do you want to freak off? LOL, Combs asked in August of 2009. I'm always ready to freak off, she replied. 2 days later, Cassie sent an explicit message to Combs. I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot, he replied. Me too. I just want it to be uncontrollable, she said. And we are giving you these early exchanges right now from the defense as well as the replies from Cassie. The idea that the freak-offs were consensual is central to Sean Combs' defense, and after the mid-morning break, his defense lawyer prompted Cassie Ventura to read very explicit messages sent between her and Combs. In these messages, which were sent on BlackBerry devices in 2009, Ventura described giving...
Now, if this case just be about Diddy and Cassidy, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. Diddy can get off. If this case just be about Cassidy and Diddy, because it seems like just so far, I could be wrong, but so far that ain't nobody coming forward. We ain't heard nothing about the rest of the celebrities or anything. This is about Cassidy and Diddy so far, and it's all about the attorneys. It's all about Diddy's defense. If this about this Diddy and Cassidy and whoever has the best theory, man, look, man, this case can go either way, man. I think Diddy can probably be free, man, and because you have to know, man, that remember what Cassie said. Cassie said, yeah, the video was consensual, and then you know what I mean. Right now, I want to say there's some things you gotta look at that can probably be admissible. You know what I mean? Cassie's statement, she lied, and she changed up the statement. And I think it will be challenged later on in this case, man. And I think it could probably work in the favor of Diddy's. You know what I mean? Because so far we just see is Cassidy testifying. But like I said, man, we still early in this trial. You know what I mean? And keep in mind, man. And I wanted to just tell you how the secret society run, man. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing on each other. If Diddy lively give up some names, that could be an end of his trial. But as right now, how things going, and I think that the reason why the state, the government, they don't want to put out these videos, man. You know what I mean? And for some reason, man, some of these videos they said was bot, man. Some people had some of these videos. I remember 50 Cent said he had the video, but ain't nobody putting none of this stuff out. You know why? because everybody was at these wild freak off parties. I be see. The thing is, I'm saying it could be paid. We in a dirty court system, y'all. First of all, why they didn't want to bring out the freak off tape to the public? You see, NBC asked for it. You see, New York Times. You know what I mean? The Wall Street Journal, the Business Insiders. They was all asking for the video. I think right now, I think that the state was paid not to show the videos. I think they was paid a wide of money not to show those videos, man. Because to me, I think that they wanted to be where Diddy can, you know what I mean, get a fair trial. You know, because if that was the case, if they was to show the tapes to the world, people will show all on the internet. They'll be showing all this kind of graphic stuff on the internet. You know what I mean? Although we seen little tapes of him and Meek Mills, and you know what I mean, rumors. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to say rumors, but they had the tape flowing. You know what I mean? Not this. You know, they supposed to say it was Diddy and Usher. You know what I mean? Y'all heard that story. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Usher used to eat Frosted Flakes. It was something I can't even go back and remember, man. But they used to fight over Frosted Flakes, right? You know, when Usher was 13 at the time. So there's a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, it's confidential that they're not going to show us. So if Diddy gets off, it's because someone had paid wide of money not to show those tapes. That's the only thing I can say. Someone had paid a wide of money not to get those tapes to be seen. Cause you gotta think about it, y'all. Everybody and their mom was at these freak off parties doing you don't know what. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not fair to get one man locked up because there's some kind of involvement. I believe there's some kind of involvement, and to me, I feel, you know what I mean, it's just not right that they don't want to expose the industry out. But man, you know what I mean, there are some graphic pictures, and the state it's like a lot of people guilty, man. You know what I mean? And why, you know what I mean? And to me, you know what I mean, whether Diddy gets off, it's because someone paid a lot of money to the state not to show those videos, man. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to expose they don't want to expose the truth of the industry, the truth dark side of the industry, man. But like I said, y'all, it's still to be continued. It's still to be continued. You know what I mean? Whether who's involved in the freak off, we will know sooner or later. But remember what they said, that this is going to be a 2-month trial. So keep in mind, man, we still early in this trial. But I would like to see who was all in these freak off parties, because to me, if you're going to get one man, get everybody that was involved.
Oral sex in graphic terms, expectation that this would be performed during a freak-off. All right, we are getting some more updates here from inside of the court. The defense is reading messages between Ventura and Combs. He says he wants to see her. She replies, "I can't wait either." She later writes, "I feel like I want to get asked." Combs texts, "Too horny to concentrate," prompting another reply from her. Ventura says she planned to get candles from a store and set up the room. The defense asked if she knew Combs would record her again. The judge stops the question after an objection. The defense then points out Ventura asked if he had any pills. Ventura said she planned to get candles from the store and set up the room. The defense asked if she knew Combs would record her again. The judge stops the question after an objection. The defense then points out Ventura asked if he had any pills again. So again, major takeaways continuing to happen here inside of the courtroom, that we are getting the updates in real time. Of course, sometimes viewer discretion is advised because of these very serious nature. Again, I just want to read off that quick back and forth that just happened here. As the defense read messages between Ventura and Combs, he says he wants to see her. She replies, "I can't wait either." She later writes, "I feel like I want to get at." Combs texts, "He's way too horny to concentrate," prompting another reply from her. Ventura says she planned to get candles from a store and set up the room. And again, now just going more into the freak-off nature and the planning of that continues on here. So again, stay right here with us. More updates coming in real time. Let's continue to give you these updates that we are getting. Let's showcase it to you in real time on Live Now. The defense suggests it was Cassie who ended Combs' career. Nearly 2 hours into cross-examination, the questioning of Cassie seems to have taken a turn from what had been mostly friendly questioning. The defense asked Cassie if it's fair to say that Combs' career was ruined after she sued him in November of 2023, making public for the first time the concept of freak-offs. "I can understand that," Cassie responded. Cassie, the defense right now is trying to really showcase the different sides here of their relationship as well. Cassie testified earlier this week that when she tried to end their relationship, Combs threatened to end her career by releasing degrading sexual videos of her. I want to read off some of the exchanges right now from inside the courtroom that we are getting from our great court reporters as well. Ventura says she planned to get candles from a store and set up the room. When talking about freak-offs and talking about the planning of those, the defense asked if she viewed Combs court her again. The judge stopped that questioning after an objection. The defense then points out Ventura asked if he had any pills. The defense asked if Ventura feared Combs only saw her for sex. She says it was a concern. She confirms their relationship still wasn't public at this point. When asked about the role of freak-offs, Ventura said that they were integral to her relationship with Diddy. At Ventura's 21st birthday in Vegas, guests included Britney Spears and Dallas Austin. She says they came for Sean Combs. The defense calls her beautiful. And charming, and she thanks the defense, and the defense affirms that it's true. The defense also asked Ventura about Tommy Mottola. She identifies him as a well-known producer. He notes that she was an emerging star at the time. She confirms that after signing with Bad Boy, her relationship with Combs remained platonic. The defense brings up a rough performance Ventura had. She says it was on 106 and Park and didn't go well. To support her, Combs made a YouTube video saying everyone makes mistakes. Ventura explains that she struggled because she couldn't hear herself during that performance. Ventura confirms that she was dating Mr. Leslie, who was 10 years older. She then traveled to Miami with Combs, admitting the event flyer was just a cover to spend more time with Sean Combs. Ventura confirms that she had a tattoo of Mr. Leslie's initials. When asked how many tattoos she had at the time, she says 3. After a brief objection, she also identified one on the other arm that read, "No regrets." Ventura confirms Combs taught her how to perform oral sex. The defense shows her a message from 2007 that when When she reads it, she laughs and asks the defense to read it. It is quoted as saying, "I feel protected. You are sweet." The defense reads a message Ventura wrote saying, "I see that Carrie Morgan is better fitting for you. I'm hurt that you think I'm malicious. You're very important to me." And then it's signed by Cass. So she laughs and explains it felt like a journal entry expressing her emotions at the time. The defense brings up Carrie Morgan and asks if Ventura believed Combs was attracted to her. Ventura says she thought so early on, but the issue didn't really continue. She adds that Carrie was just always around them. The defense begins questioning Ventura about freak-offs, noting that sometimes she wore a wig and mask. Ventura confirms. The defense points out the public didn't know until November of 2023.
But this case seemed like it's just all about Diddy and Cassidy so far. And it seems like when you can work some magic in this case, and I remember when Willie D was saying, yeah, these billionaires, they don't go to prison. They just don't. This is what Willie D says. Big shout out to Willie D. He says they just don't go to prison. You know what I mean? Everything can just be brought. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta look at it like that. Everything can be bought. I think in the justice system, because why is it? To me, it just don't make sense. Why is it that everyone see the tapes of R. Kelly and his last victim? I mean, and he still got off in that case. But in this case, it's like NBC, you got ABC, you got New York Times, you got the Wall Street Journal, all of them asking for the tape. You know, I think the whole courtroom. I think the whole courtroom government was bought. I think the whole courtroom was bought. To be honest with you, because you're going to see if he gets off of this, and a lot of people was telling me that this can be just a domestic case for him and Cassidy, and I think Cassidy already lied on a witness stand, tampering with evidence. So, you know. And then the judge was already willing to give Diddy a new appeal if he gets found guilty. He was going to already grant him a new appeal. So that being said, and then we was hearing about Trump. Trump might give give Diddy a pardon. You know, so either way how this thing go, I think, man. I think the reason why the jury, the states didn't want to show those tapes because those tapes was graphic. And I think it was paid. I think, man, you got money, man. If you got money, money talks, man. Money can walk you out on some things, man. Let's look at Boosie murder trial. Money, man. Look, man. Like Willie D said, man. When you're a billionaire, man, billionaires don't go to prison, man. You know what I mean? They don't sit in jail too long, man. So we're gonna really see how this thing play out. You know what I mean? We're just gonna see how this thing really play out because there's a lot of people that I know, a lot of YouTuber content creators say that, you know what I mean, Diddy might just, walk out. You know what I mean? He might just, he might just walk out from this case.
After an objection and rephrasing, Ventura agrees. The defense suggests that Combs' career was damaged after Ventura's lawsuit, which she acknowledges. The defense then reads messages where Combs asks about her period and what she thinks about when she's horny. The defense offers to read Ventura's messages. If she prefers not to, she thanks them. The defense points out one message has a long O, which she confirms. The defense asks if she made love with Combs at freak-offs, and she confirms that she did. The defense notes that Combs asked Ventura about her period, which she confirms and clarifies it was a plan. The defense clarifies that it was a plan to clarify when they convene for sex. She agrees it appears that way. She also confirms watching him with another woman 2 or 3 times. The defense asks if Ventura and Combs discussed the swinger lifestyle. She replies that no one really talks about it. She admits that she kept the freak-off secret from friends and says his assistants helped with the planning of these freak-offs. The defense asked if Ventura would recall an assistant entering during a session with an escort. She says not necessarily. She was high. When the defense notes she doesn't remember much, she responds that her privacy was often invaded in the relationship. The defense refers to a July 2012 message where Ventura told Combs, "I'm horny and bored," asking if it was after a freak-off. Ventura responds that there are a lot of texts being referenced. So, continuing to talk about the timelines right now from these freak-offs, as well as a little bit more about the relationship with Sean Combs and Cassie. Cassie says she sometimes watches Combs having sex with other women, while prosecutors.
No. Why? Okay. And Cassie was so obsessed with Diddy's lifestyle. I think she was so obsessed. I think she liked it, the lifestyle that Diddy was having. You know what I mean? Diddy was in. You know what I mean? Diddy was. He was seeing different. You know what I mean? He was seeing multiple women. He was in fair with multiple women. I think she didn't want to get out of that kind of lifestyle. You know what I mean? Knowing he was a billionaire, she's young at the time. You know what I mean? She never seen these kind of parties in her life. You know what I mean? She look, man. She didn't want to leave, man. You know what I mean? 10 years. Then it's like, and then they can see, the state can see that this was a bizarre relationship. You know what I mean? And I think the state is going to really see that, oh, she was in on this stuff. You know what I mean? She was all in on the freak off parties. Because you had Tassie came out and said that it was consensual. She was in the freak off parties. Because you know why? Diddy already had her as an R&B singer. And as R&B singer, when you get in the industry, you got to do these rituals. Cassie was in these rituals, man. I don't think it was nothing that Diddy. I don't understand how they going to get this man with coercion if he coerced his victims. You know what I mean? Because he ran an enterprise. Diddy was a magician. He was an entrepreneur, and yeah, he hired Cassie into being an R&B. And she has to take on doing these rituals to keep her music career going. You know, and I just think she was all in it. She was just all in it. I think when she's going to say that she was raped, of course you got to say that. Of course you want to say to put this, you know what I mean, to put the guilt on this man. But yeah, Cassie was, you know what I mean. She involved herself in freak off parties. You know what I mean. And like I said, where the state can prove that these freak off parties was consensual. Because you had Cassie say it was consensual. And so they're going to really, like, man, the defense is going to really crush her in open statements, man. You know what I mean? So, man, this case can go either way, man. And like I said, we got to see who's going to be all, you know what I mean, who's all going to be here on this trial. How many, you know what I mean, how many victims going to come forward. I mean, as right now, it's like, you know, this case is like 50-50. It can go either way.
Have focused on Combs' desire to see Cassie having sex with other men in marathons of sexual activity. She says she sometimes watched Combs have sex with other women. Under questioning by Combs' lawyer, Cassie testified that this happened maybe 4 times throughout the course of their decade-long relationship. She said Combs explained it as part of a swinger's lifestyle. As the defense team and Cassie read aloud steamy text messages that the hip-hop mogul and R&B star wrote each other back in July of 2012, Combs appeared relaxed at the defense table, sitting back in his chair with his hands folded before him and his legs crossed. Yes, he said, I definitely didn't want anyone to know about this. After going through a pile of Cassie's years old emails and text messages, defense questioning pivoted to the highly orchestrated encounters in which Cassie says Combs watched as she engaged in sex acts with male sex workers. Early on, Cassie testified that she disguised herself with wigs and masquerade masks because while Combs was a recognizable star, she was an up-and-coming R&B singer, and neither of them wanted people finding out. The encounter itself was pretty crazy, Cassie told jurors. I really followed his lead on that because I had never done it before. Also, in today's cross-examination, Cassie grew increasingly frustrated with Combs' messages to show. Yet more messages read in court show that Cassie was growing frustrated with the state of her relationship with Combs. They weren't yet public with their courtship, and in December of 2009 email, Cassie told the hip-hop star that she needed something more from him than a sexual partnership. Responding to a sexually explicit email from Combs, Cassie wrote, I like that. I want it, and I want to give you the same. I just think that I have to trust you beyond it just being sexual. You know what I mean, the message continued. In order for me to be more open with the things we do in bed, I need to feel safe, like home, like this is my husband, and this is the only man that will ever have this aggressive sexual side of me. Combs' lawyers are seeking to portray Cassie as a willing participant in Combs' freak-off lifestyle. And again, earlier the defense has Cassie reading her sexually explicit messages for the jury. The sexual events Combs stage dominated much of the testimony from Tuesday and Wednesday. Now that the defense is asking about the subject and displaying text messages to the jury in an apparent effort to show Cassie's enthusiasm for them. The defense is reading Combs' part of the email and text exchanges and having Cassie recite what she wrote to them at the time. When do you want to freak off, LOL, Combs asked in August of 2009. I'm always ready to freak off, she replied. 2 days later, Cassie sent an explicit message to Combs where he said, I can't wait to watch you. I want to get you real hot. She replied, me too. I just want it to be uncontrollable. Let's continue to get more updates here on Live Now from Fox as really so many of you are continuing to follow along with us and getting these updates all in real time from the great court reporters that continue right now inside of the court. Let me just read out a little bit more here that we are getting. During proceedings, the prosecution requests Ventura be allowed to read the full document. The judge asked how many pages it contains. The defense says 8, but the prosecution notes there's no copy for the witness. The defense says those are displayed on a screen, not visible to the public. So right now it looks like they're referencing more text messages or emails, and it looks like it's about 8 pages long that is not going to be in the public view. We're worldwide for you here on Live Now from Fox. Thanking everyone for joining us, and really again we are showcasing the latest that is coming from inside of court. I'm your host Mike Page. Great to be with you here for day 4, and really this is probably the most in-demand day, really a couple of days, because the defense said that they were going to cross-examine Cassie through at least the end of the day tomorrow. But we are seeing really the defense trying to play up the role in front of jurors, showing that Cassie was not really forced into these sex acts with sex workers, but that she enjoyed it, that she was a willing participant and was not only engaging in these sex acts with sex workers, but was craving them and also getting ready for the next time that they could do it.
And you know what? I believe that because I believe she was willing to do these sex acts because she was an R&B, and to get the status that she needs, she has to do these kind of acts. So I believe 100% Cassie was in. She has to be in on doing these things, these rituals. So you know what I mean. If they can prove that, this thing Diddy was involved in cohorting his victims, because it just right now it's just Diddy and Cassidy. And I believe 100% when you are in the industry and you're R&B, you got to do these kind of rituals, man. And so, yeah, they're gonna yeah, the defense gonna tear Cassie up because, yeah, you know what I mean. You performed these sexual acts. You was you know what I mean. You said you know what I mean. You loved it. You enjoyed it. You know, and so you know is this now just a time where who can put up the best theory out of both parties? Whoever theory is stronger, that they can prove the state. And this case, I always say it can, you know what I mean, go either way. You know, this case can just go either way. You know, it can definitely go in the favor of the prosecution. It can definitely go in the favor of the defense. It can go either way. Let's roll this clip. You guys hit that like button for me. You know what I mean. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Yeah, share this. You know, hit that like button. Let's go hit this footage.
Talking about showcasing some of the text messages where Diddy is asking, when do you want to have another freak off? And she says, whenever is best possible. And then saying that she wants it to be uncontrollable. So again, these are some major takeaways that the defense right now is showcasing to the jury to try to put that doubt in the juror's mind. Remember, they only need one juror to have that doubt of saying, Sean is what seems to be not a very nice guy. We saw him on video beating and really berating and dragging and kicking sometimes Cassie. And it seems that domestic violence is big for him, and it's been a big part of his life. But it does seem like Cassie has been involved in this and wanted to be a part of this. I know the prosecution was trying to showcase the other side of it. That might be what a juror could be thinking at this moment. Remember, the defense just needs one juror to say what I was just kind of alluding to.
Look, if they can prove that this was just only a domestic violence case and that Cassie was loving every bit of what she was doing and these freak offs, then I don't see how I just don't really see how coercion racketeering comes in at, unless there's more witnesses that's gonna come forward. So all that is still, you know what I mean, still to be continued. But this as right now, this with Diddy and Cassidy, that's with their, you know what I mean, relationship that they have, violent relationship. Then only thing I can just think at the end of the day that this may turn out to be maybe a domestic, you know what I mean, violent case. But right now, you know what I mean, it's still fresh. You know what I mean. We all want to know about the 190 witnesses. So it's still fresh. I mean, it looks good right now, you know, because Cassie was loving every bit of these freak offs. So you know what I mean. It might be another win. It could be a win for the defense team. So we got to see. But only thing I can see is just those photos that they got of Diddy beating Cassie. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that they really got. You know, if they got that, this that. But like I said, y'all, it's still to be continued. Like we still got to see who's all on these freak off. Who's in these freak off tapes. So that's still to be, continue. That's still to come. So yeah, we watching this. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out.
So let's again show you more from outside of the court right now. Again, you are watching here with us. I know. Let's just ask our great viewers in the chat right now. What are you thinking at this moment? Do you think that the defense is doing a good job of cross-examination of Cassie? Let me know inside of the chat there. We'll read some of those messages out in just a little bit, but I want to get your take on, do you feel if the defense right now is bringing it home right here? Let's get some other updates that we're showing you. Defense lawyers made it clear before the trial that they intended to label a lot of Combs' sexual behavior as reflective of a swinger's lifestyle. Now the defense is asking Cassie directly if she thinks freak-offs were related to this lifestyle. In a sexual way, Cassie responded before adding, they're very different. A day earlier, Cassie told prosecutors they went to swingers clubs together several times in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Also, we should tell you, Cassie powers through with the explicit narration. At one point, acknowledging Cassie's potential discomfort, the defense told Cassie, if you ever don't want to read the message, I can read it for you. She thanked the lawyer for the offer, but kept going. 3 times, the courtroom felt quiet as Cassie spent several minutes silently reading through paper copies of long text message exchanges between her and Combs. One was 14 pages, another was 25 pages, a third exchange was 8 pages. Cassie wanted to familiarize herself with these threads before being asked questions about them. So let's see if we can get a little bit more updates here for you on Live Now from Fox. Reporters right now inside of the courtroom here, and again, just reading out what they are bringing us, and really all of the updates that they are little tidbits are great because we're able to pass them along to you, and we'll continue to follow it for you every step of the way on Live Now from Fox, awaiting more key updates on this in-demand Diddy Trial Day 4. A lot of pauses during the testimony this morning as the defense asked Cassie Ventura to review texts and emails going back at least 15 years, some of them dozens of pages long. The defense confronted Cassie Ventura with a message that she sent to Sean Combs about particularly enjoying the portion of a freak-off where she had sex with a male escort. I like those times, Ventura wrote. I love when we make love after. The last time was so good. Messages like these could support the defense argument that Ventura consented to all of her sexual activities with Combs, including freak-offs and group sex sessions that prosecutors contend she was told to and forced into. The defense might also suggest to the jury that Ventura changed her attitude about the freak-offs when she saw an opportunity for a payday. Yesterday, Ventura testified that Combs paid her $20 million to drop a sexual assault lawsuit she filed back in 2023, years after they broke up. The defense concedes that Combs physically abused Ventura on multiple occasions, but argue that he has not been charged with domestic violence, and a violent relationship is not evidence for the government's sex trafficking charges.
Okay, now, do they got Diddy on wrongful, charges, racketeering, coercion? engaged in prostitution. Now we'll see. That's still to be continued because so far this looks like this a domestic case that we hearing. Unless all those victims that they so have that they have subpoenas over 190 witnesses. All that's still to come. If that 190 witnesses don't come, then we know this thing could have been bought at the end of the day, and this could be no more than we can see a domestic violent case. Because then we gotta look and ask that would be the right that Diddy will file for a lawsuit. If that was the case, that he'll have ground for a lawsuit. If they can't find no findings of charging him with racketeering, you know what I mean, coercion, you know what I mean, engagement with prostitution, you know what I mean, under a minor. If they don't find these findings, and they have to you know what I mean, charge him with domestic violence, then that's grounds. I think that would be probably ground for lawsuit that his attorney can do. But we just got to see how these things are going to play out, man. You know, but like I said, for more content, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that like button, man, for more content, man. I just thank you guys for tuning in, man. This is day 4 Diddy's trial. So thank you guys for tuning in, man. Pretty much want to wrap it, man. You know what I mean? Want to wrap it up, man. I got some things I got to do around this house. You know what I mean? So pretty much want to wrap it. But yeah, for more content, just please feel, you know what I mean, free to subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? Hit that like button. You guys always been blessed. You know what I mean? Been always a help. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it with, you know what I mean, without you guys. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Definitely, man. This is day 4, man, and attorneys is gonna eat Cassie up on her open statements, man. Man, if they could find out that this was a swinger, you know what I mean, party, and that, you know what I mean, this was consensual, Diddy, you know what I mean, Diddy can get a huge win, and you know what I mean, the coercion, like I said, the racketeering and the engagement, prostitution with a minor, all that goes out the window, and you gotta think that this is ground for lawsuit. But like I said, I'm just saying things right now. You know, we got to see how things gonna play out. But thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, for more content, please subscribe to the channel, man. Stay, you know what I mean, stay updated for more content. Till then, I'm out. Thank you guys. You guys been a help. I got some things I got to do around this house. I'm out. Check with you guys.